Now, some people don't like this way of working with promises. They don't like calling then and catch methods. So let me show you a different way to rewrite this code in a kind of more linear way using async and await. So you know that the get method here returns a promise. So get returns a promise. Now, if this promise is resolved, we'll get what? We'll get a response object, right? Response. But what if the promise is rejected? What if something goes wrong? We get an error. So let's see how we can rewrite this code without calling then and catch methods. In JavaScript, if we have a promise, we can put the await keyword in front of the promise to get the result. So here we can await the promise that is returned from the get method to get the response object. Now here we have a compilation error saying await expressions are only allowed within async functions. So to use the await keyword here, we have to mark the containing function as async. But now we get a different kind of error because React doesn't allow us to pass an async function to the effect hook. So to work around this, we have to remove the async keyword from here. Instead, we're going to define an async function inside this function, inside this effect. So we can call that function fetch users. This is going to be a function. Now we mark this as async, and then we move this line up here inside this function. So we await the promise, we get a response, and then we call set users and pass response.data. So here we call set users and pass response.data. So we have defined this function inside our effect. Now, right after, we call it fetch users. Okay? So this was the happy path if the promise is resolved. But what if the promise is rejected? Well, for that, we have to wrap these two lines inside a try-catch block. So here we add a try block. We move these two lines up here. Then we add a catch clause to catch the error. Now, just like before, here we have to call set error and pass error.message. So let's cut this and paste it here. Now here we have a compilation error saying error is of type unknown. So the TypeScript compiler cannot tell the type of the error object. Now here's a problem. We cannot annotate this object here. We cannot set it to Axios error because type annotation is not allowed in a catch clause. So to work around this, we have to wrap this error object in parentheses. Then we use the as keyword to tell the TypeScript compiler the type of this object. That is going to be Axios error. Now to import this, we press Command and period on Mac or Control and period on Windows. Now for some reason, VS Code is not detecting this, so we have to import it manually on the top. So on the top, we import Axios error from the Axios module. So this is the end result. Now, I personally have used async and await a billion times before, and I never had problems with them. But when it comes to using the effect hook in React, I don't find this approach elegant because for a starter, we have to create an extra function. Then we have to wrap our code inside a try-catch block. And on top of that, we have to use type assertion to tell the TypeScript compiler the type of this error object. There's a fair amount of extra work we have to do. Let's compare this code with the previous implementation. So here in VS Code, I'm going to go to the source control tab. Let's do a before and after comparison. So this is what we previously had. We only had 4 lines of code and our code is beautifully formatted. Now compare this with our new implementation. Our code is longer and all these braces and indentation make the code kind of ugly. So going forward, I'm not going to use this approach. I'm going to stick to then and catch methods. But if you prefer to use a try-catch block, that's totally fine.